Well, howdy there, you legends. Top of the week to you. Happy Monday to you all, if there is such a thing. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend either playing the Battlefield 6 open beta or getting outside and touching grass. I somehow managed to achieve both by sacrificing my sleep, so here we are. As I'm recording this video, the first weekend for the Battlefield 6 open beta is officially coming to a close, and after clocking what must be close to 30 hours in-game now, I've collected a lot of notes, and I want to go over some of the pain points in the Battlefield 6 ecosystem at the moment and talk about some of the things that I think the devs really need to hone in on before this game launches on October 10th this year. I've obviously had a lot of good things to say about the game so far, but there's also no denying that, yes, there are some problems and they need to be addressed sooner rather than later. And this video is going to be all about adding to the already very healthy pile of feedback that's being thrown the developers' way in response to this beta. So without further ado, let's get stuck into some of the biggest problems I think we have with Battlefield 6 at the moment. I want to start off here with something that pertains to the core gunplay and the core combat of Battlefield 6. I've obviously had a lot of really nice things to say about the core gunplay as it's designed principally, but there is a problem right now with the sense of time to death in this game, or TTD if you want to call it that. There are a lot of instances in this game where you feel like you've gone from full HP to dead on the floor in a single frame. And it almost feels as though you're experiencing a sense of damage compression, as though all of your enemy's bullets are hitting you at once, leaving you with no time to react. Which is strange, because I actually think the time to kill in this game, or the baseline time to kill, is relatively well balanced so far. If anything, I'd like to see the time to kill increased slightly in close quarters combat, but the fact that the time to death is so short by comparison means that there's probably some issues with the netcode in this game at the moment that the devs really need to work on. I also caught myself dying around corners more and more often as the beta persisted, so I do wonder whether the netcode of the game does require a bit of an uplift to bring it up to par. Hopefully the developers can get on that sooner rather than later. Beyond that, staying on the focus of core gunplay here, the only other couple of issues I really picked out on as we were playing the open beta here was, firstly, the elephant in the room, the shotgun. It needs to be benched and or nerfed. We do know that there is a build of the game out there where the shotgun has been fixed and addressed. It's just a shame that it continues to sit in this game in its absolutely menacing state. We are going to be able to play Conquest on Empire State next weekend, and as someone who had a chance to play on that map, the shotgun is going to be diabolical there as well. The SVK DMR, also a bit of a problem child at the moment. This thing's two-shot kill potential is, in my opinion, a little too consistent and can feel a bit busted from time to time when you get dialed in. I don't know, it just feels a little bit overtuned at the moment, and it might be a bit too easy to use for how rewarding its damage profile makes it out to be. There's also a couple of problems with the class system at the moment that I think need to be addressed. On the assault kit for one, I'm sorry, the assault sling needs to go. Yes, I like the idea of them trying out new things and, finding out new ways to give the assault class just that little bit more, tip of the spear-esque playstyle to them. The assault sling ain't it. Being able to carry the best of both worlds with either an assault rifle and shotgun combo or an assault rifle and DMR combo, yes, both are extremely effective, completely turns the assault class into a one-man army that I think just power creeps it so bloody much. Being able to equip two types of grenade launcher as well at the same time is also extremely oppressive. Now, I know this is all going to change in later builds of the game as we get more gadgets and stuff like that. It's just very clear to me that being able to equip two grenade launchers, like we've had the option to do so all open beta so far, just leads to so much explosive spam that is going to be a problem as more and more players tend to operate with that kind of kit. If I'm being honest as well, the Recon class is in a really powerful spot right now, and I think a lot of that comes down to its ability to auto-spot whenever it's actually just, aiming at something. While I don't typically mind there being spotting functionality in a Battlefield game, having a class that can simply glance in your general direction, potentially not even realize that you're there, and automatically spot you, highlighting you for their entire team, yeah, that's a bit of a problem as well. It just completely nullifies any kind of stealth gameplay or even, equipping a suppressor. And if you get into a close quarters firefight with a recon class and you beat them rightfully so, they've still had a monumental impact on your ability to go on flanks and to keep progressing along your kill streak because they aimed at you and therefore spotted you. That's a problem. I think that needs to be reworked big time. Keeping the ball rolling here, footsteps are also something I think needs some serious love in this game. There have been times where I've heard someone clear as day approaching me from, a solid 25 meters away, and then there have been times where people are right on top of me and I can't make out the pitter-patter of their feet. Even in close quarters game modes and on quieter maps where there's less players, I struggle to hear targets walking around, and I can even struggle to determine what direction they're coming from. It can be a little janky at times with the audio engine, so I definitely like to see that sharpened up quite a bit before we go into full release in October. Something I've also found to be incredibly annoying is that if you're engaged in a firefight and you're aiming down sights and your character just so happens to trip over a mild ledge in the game or a piece of rubble or something like that, it completely destabilizes your sight. It feels as though you've just stepped somewhere and suddenly you're standing on a, 9.0 Richter scale earthquake. And look, I know for all the Milsim LARPer fans out there, yes, this is probably realistic. If you're firing a weapon full auto and you trip over something, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to keep your aim stable, but it doesn't translate to enjoyable gunplay or enjoyable combat in a game like this, so it needs to be fixed. Thankfully, Florian over on Twitter has confirmed that it will be fixed, and it's actually not an intended feature of the game right now, but it's a shame that it's in the beta, and I'm going to raise it anyway to hold them to account. There's a few times when my eyeballs have also just been assaulted by visual glitches, what appears to be some kind of broken geometry just flashing all over your screen. It's honestly epilepsy-inducing and needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Now, one thing that I know that has been copping a lot of feedback in the build of the beta that we've been playing so far is the vehicles in the game. I'm going to be clear here in saying that I'm only going to speak to the ground vehicle side of the game because I just haven't had a lot of time in the air vehicles as of yet, mainly because I haven't been game to get into one yet. But at their base, I'll be honest with you folks, I actually don't mind how the tanks and the IFVs feel to play at the moment. I don't know if I've just been feeling incredibly lucky or I've had a good few runs in them or what have you. I just don't think they're as bad as many are letting on to be at the moment. I've been punished by, but I've also been punishing in vehicles. It all depends on the fight at the time and how I or my enemies are playing with the vehicles in the game. And I have been on some absolute perler tank and IFV games so far, so maybe I've gotten lucky, but I dare say that the core design of the vehicles has felt pretty good for me so far. I will say though that the depth of the vehicle-to-vehicle combat needs some work, and some of the infantry-to-vehicle, interactions could also use some love as well. Firstly, let's talk about engineers and getting directional damage. Directional damage is most certainly in this game. It's inconsistent, but it's here. In my opinion, the messaging about how much damage you're dealing to a vehicle should be a bit clearer on the HUD, and I would like to see the area or the forgiveness on when a rear shot is calculated and actually affected on a vehicle. I'd like to see that become a bit more consistent as well. I found that you need to hit really specific areas on the rear of a tank or an IFV to actually get that rear shot damage, and that can be a bit annoying to navigate as an infantry player as well. I've also noticed that there's no specific damage to componentry in this game, which means that, you can't shoot the tank turret to disable its turret, or you can't shoot tank tracks or engines to slow them down in any way. We have seen that in a few Battlefield games in the past, and it added a bit of, depth to the vehicle gameplay that I'd like to see return here, because at the moment, it's just a matter of, I shoot you, you shoot me, and whoever has the most engineers behind us wins, right? A bit more depth to that vehicle-to-vehicle gameplay would be good to see. Even if that means upping their base survivability a little bit in some cases, I'd welcome that change as well, if that's the trade-off to adding some kind of depth to the vehicle gameplay as well. Obviously, we haven't seen any vehicle customization or progression in the game yet either, which I'm curious to see. We obviously don't get to use it in the beta, but I feel like that's also going to add some extra depth to the vehicle gameplay as well that we don't quite have access to just yet. So hopefully the vehicles in that regard do feel a bit more fleshed out by launch. And I know that off the back of that, a lot of people were keen to see some larger maps in Battlefield 6. I actually really like the map selection that we have to play so far, and when we get to play State Empire next week as well in the Conquest format, I think you guys are going to really like that one too. But there is also no denying that a lot of the maps in the game right now are small to medium maps and are more infantry focused than vehicle focused. And I think, being a Battlefield game, it'd be nice to see some larger scale maps as well in the near future. So I am hoping that the offering of maps that we are going to get at launch does offer some larger scale play spaces as well. But now I want to get into another big elephant in the room here, folks, and one that I think is the best for last in this video, if I'm being completely honest. That being the way the matchmaking is set up and the evident lack of a server browser. So one thing I will make clear out of the gate here is that there is a very clear lack of skill-based matchmaking in this game's matchmaking system, and I absolutely applaud EA for taking that approach here. I've had games where I stomp, I've had games where I've been stomped, and I've also had some of the closest Battlefield games I've ever had across the franchise in the Battlefield 6 open beta, and that is very evidently the work of a lack of skill-based matchmaking. So again, applaud DICE for taking that approach. It was a big concern I had when they said that they were going to be sticking with matchmaking as a system for the core gameplay of Battlefield 6. However, when it comes to picking maps and picking team rotation for certain game modes, that has been absolutely atrocious with this current system, and I think it really is a testament to why we need a server browser for a game like Battlefield. While I get that there are only 3 maps in the game right now, the fact that I've had times where I get 5+ games in a row on Cairo or Ridge 13 is very telling. The current matchmaking system is not working in the favor of game variety, and it more often than not will chuck you into the exact same map time and time again. And it doesn't matter that we've only got 3 maps to work with now, because that problem is only going to exist as well when you've got an even larger map pool to play with. You may play only 2 or 3 maps there as well, despite there being 9 in the total pool. There was a time in one of my beta sessions where I kept getting defending on breakthrough on Liberation Peak so often, to the point where I just kept leaving the lobby until I got something different. And that is a frustrating game-to-game experience that really takes you out of the enjoyment of the game for a brief moment. So, with that in mind, in side-based games like Rush or Breakthrough, there needs to be a system that keeps a match together for both attacking and defending sides to be played out by either side before the server rematch makes players. I think that is just an obvious answer there, and it ensures that whenever you do get a map on one of those side-based lobbies, you actually get to play both experiences there. And in my opinion, there needs to be a clear, distinct rotation of maps that you play through as you rematch vacant lobbies here, so you can't get the same map back to back, or dare I even say the same map within 3 times of playing other maps. There realistically needs to be some kind of rotation that sees all maps played out before you go back to the first one and replay that, because otherwise you are at times just running the risk of losing that sense of variety in a Battlefield game. And in Battlefield, variety is the spice of life. So the fact that you are stuck playing the same map 5 times in a row kind of takes a lot of the magic away. Which does bring us back to our core point here. Better yet, just give us a server browser and persistent lobbies, DICE. Could you imagine the PR paradise that EA and DICE would be in if they simply decided to give us a server browser for the core game mode? It would feel like Battlefield returned to the promised land and took us with it. We've already had a great start with Battlefield 6 and the gameplay it's offering. All they need to do is do a server browser. It's that simple, man. You do that, and you guys immediately bump your current ratings from the players up by 1 whole point. And look, say that's not the direction they go down, I imagine we're going to see a lot of verified, just daily rotation portal servers as well. I'm planning on running a few OCE-based portal servers for the Australian crew as well. And if that's the case, fine. I just would love to see DICE return to a server browser core experience as well, but I feel like that may be asking a bit too much at this point. And folks, that is my list right there of the key issues that I've had with Battlefield 6 so far, and the key feedback I have for DICE ahead of the game's full launch. Obviously, we have another open beta weekend coming up, and if I notice any more issues that emerge, in my time playing the game there, I'll be sure to do a follow-up video to this one, and we've got a lot more Battlefield 6 content on the way. So if you enjoyed the video, drop me a like, it does go a long way to supporting the channel, and get subscribed for a ton more Battlefield 6 content coming in the near future as well, guys. It'd be great to welcome you to this little community here. And also come follow us over on our Twitch stream as well. First link in the description down below. We've got some absolutely massive streams in the plans here, guys, and I can't wait to have you guys there too. Until next time, folks, peace out, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.